Hello everybody. This is a lesson on charge interactions. I'm going to go over 3 different rules that you need to know to master charge interactions. The first rule is that 2 opposite charges attract each other. In this case, we have a positive charge on the right and a negative charge on the left. And these 2 are going to attract each other, which means that they are going to move closer together. The next rule is that 2 objects with the same charge repel each other. In this case, we have a positive charge and another positive charge, and they are going to move away from each other. This is the same for 2 negatively charged objects. Because they are the same charge, they still repel each other. But what about neutral objects? Neutral objects are a strange case, because while you might expect them to not interact with any charges or other neutral objects at all, it turns out that a neutral object is going to interact with any charged object. In fact, a neutral object is always going to be attracted to a charged object. So here we have a neutral charge, or an object without any charge, I should say, and a negatively charged object, and they are going to attract each other. This is the same for a neutral object and a positive charge, because it is a neutral object with no charge and an object with a positive charge, they attract each other. So let's try and do some problems related to charges. So the first problem here, we are given balloons X, Y, and Z, and they are suspended from strings, shown to the right. So these are the 3 balloons here. Negatively charged balloon X, so this is negative, attracts balloon Y. So right away, we know that this balloon right here is negative, and balloon Y, which is attracted to it, has to be a charge, or neutral. So it can be positive because a positive charge will attract a negative charge, or it could be neutral because a neutral charge, remember, is attracted to any charge. So Y could be neutral. Now, balloon Y, which is positive or neutral, attracts balloon Z. So let's just take this case by case. If Y is positive, let's just assume it's positive, then Z must be negative or neutral. Let me try and do that a little better. Then Z must be, so if Y is positive, then Z must be negative. And remember, because a neutral charge can attract a positive charge, Z can also be neutral. Now, let's say Y is neutral. Y is neutral. Then Z can be positive, right? Because a positive charge and a neutral charge will attract. And Z can also be negative, because a negative object and a neutral object will also attract. Z can not be neutral in this case, because a neutral and a neutral object will not attract. But it can be neutral if Y is positive. So balloon Z can be positively charged, check. It may be negatively charged, or it may be neutral, which are the 3 options given right there. Great, so let's do another problem. So in this problem, Jean Yuss is investigating the charge on several objects and makes the following findings. Object C attracts B, object D repels C, object E attracts D and repels F, and object F attracts A. And Jean knows that object A is negatively charged and object B is electrically neutral. So right now we should write that down. A is going to be negative, and B is going to be neutral. So what can Jean Yuss definitively conclude about the charges on objects C, D, E, and F? Explain. So right here we have object F. Let's start from this side. We have object F and it attracts A, and A is negative. So what can object F be? Well, it can be positive because 2 opposite charges will attract each other. But it can also be neutral, because a neutral object and a charged object will also attract each other. So knowing this, why don't we go over here? We know object F has to be positive or neutral. And we know that it repels object E. And the thing about repelling is a neutral object can't repel anything. So we now know that it can't be neutral. Can't be neutral. And it can't be negative because it attracts A. So therefore object F has to be positive. Great. So if object F is positive, then that means object E is also positive because it repels object F. And two same charges repel each other. Now, object D is attracted to object E, so it can be negative. But object D can also be neutral because neutral objects attract charges. So now we'll go over here and find out that object D, which is negative or neutral, repels object C. And neutral objects don't repel things, so we can immediately cross that out. So object C also has to be negative because a positive object would be attracted to object D, but object D is repelling object C, so they both have to be negative. So now we know that object E is positive and object D is negative and object C is negative. So now we have object C being negative and object B being neutral, which is given. So these are our, oh, and also we were given that A is negatively charged. So now we have concluded what the charges are for these four charges. I hope this video helped you understand charged interactions. Thanks for watching.